Divorced men. What happened when she tried to kiss you in front of your wife? Story 1. My ex, Dana, had this talent for turning any room into her stage. We'd been divorced 2 years, and I'd been married to Mia for 6 months. Mia's not loud, not jealous, just observant in a way that makes you feel seen and judged at the same time. We ran into Dana at a fundraiser downtown. I tried the polite nod, the "hope you're doing well," the quick exit. Dana smiled like she'd just found her favorite toy. "Oh wow," she said, eyes sliding to Mia's ring. "So you finally did it." Mia offered her hand. "Hi, I'm Mia." Dana didn't take it. She stepped closer to me instead, like Mia was furniture. I felt my stomach tighten. I took half a step back. Dana followed, matching my distance perfectly, like a dance. "Relax," she laughed, loud enough for nearby people to turn. "I'm not going to bite." Mia stayed beside me. Calm. Too calm. Dana leaned in. Not a hug. Not a cheek kiss. Full on, mouth first, straight for my face. Right there under the chandelier, right in front of my wife. I turned my head hard and lifted my palm between us. Her lips hit my hand. It made a wet, humiliating sound that somehow felt louder than the band. Dana blinked like I had embarrassed her. "Seriously?" she snapped. I didn't lower my hand. I didn't whisper. I didn't try to save her ego. "Do not touch me," I said, clear as glass. A couple people stopped pretending not to watch. Dana's face turned sharp. "Wow, she's got you trained." Mia finally spoke, still calm. "No. He just has standards now." Dana's eyes flicked to Mia, then back to me, trying to pull me into the old script where I'd manage her mood. I didn't. "You're leaving," I said. "Right now." Dana laughed like it was a joke, but nobody laughed with her. She glanced around and realized she'd lost the room. Her smile collapsed into this bitter little smirk. "Enjoy your boring life," she hissed, and walked off fast. Like speed could turn it into dignity. Mia waited until Dana was gone before squeezing my hand. "You okay?" she asked. I exhaled. "Yeah. I just can't believe she tried that." Mia tilted her head toward the crowd that had watched. "She didn't try to kiss you." I frowned. "She tried to prove you'd let her," Mia said, "and you didn't." That hit harder than anything, because she was right. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the villain for refusing. Story 2. My wife and I were picking up our takeout when my ex rolled in like she owned the place. Heels clicking, perfume first, drama second. It was a small restaurant, the kind where everyone hears everyone. "Ethan," she said, dragging my name like a hook. "Oh my God." I looked up, and there she was. Lily. The woman who cheated, blamed me for working too much, then cried in court like I'd abandoned a saint. My wife, Nadia, stepped closer to me instinctively, not possessive, just present. Lily's eyes dropped to Nadia's hand. Ring. Her smile twitched. "So it's real." Nadia nodded politely. "Hi." Lily ignored her. She came around the little waiting area like a predator doing a slow circle. "I always knew you'd miss me," she said. "I don't," I replied. That should have ended it. But Lily loved a crowd. And there were 6 people in line plus the cashier watching with interest. Lily sighed dramatically. "You don't have to pretend. We had chemistry." Then she moved. Fast. She grabbed the front of my jacket, like we were in some movie, and tried to pull me into a kiss. I didn't shove her. I didn't yell. I did something worse to a show-off. I stepped back and let her momentum carry her forward. She stumbled, caught herself on the counter, and the cashier's eyes went wide. Lily spun around, furious. "Are you kidding me?" I lifted both hands, palms open. "Don't touch me." Nadia didn't raise her voice either. She just looked Lily up and down and said, "That's embarrassing." Lily turned bright red. "Excuse me?" Nadia pointed at the security camera above the register. "You did that on camera. In public. Like you're proud of it." Lily's mouth opened, then closed. She looked around and realized everyone had seen her get rejected. Not gently. Not privately. Clean, public refusal. She tried to recover with a laugh. "Whatever. He'll regret this." I nodded once. "I regretted you." "That's why you're my ex." The cashier called my name for the order, like the universe had perfect comedic time. I grabbed the bag, took Nadia's hand, and walked out while Lily stood there, silent, stuck with the version of herself she'd just displayed. In the car, Nadia said, "You were calm." I shrugged. "I've already fought that war." Nadia smiled. "Good. Because she showed up hoping you'd still be living in it." Story 3. My ex tried it at a funeral. I wish I was exaggerating. My uncle passed away and the service was packed. Family, co-workers, neighbors. My wife, Erin, came with me because she knows grief makes me quiet and shaky, and she's the kind of person who just stays. Halfway through the reception after, I saw my ex, Tasha, in a black dress that looked more like a nightclub outfit than morning clothes. She wasn't close with my uncle. She hadn't even met him, which meant she came for me. She walked straight up like we were old friends. I heard, she said, touching my arm. I'm so sorry. I stiffened. Thanks? Erin offered a polite nod. Hi. Tasha looked at Erin like she was an inconvenience. Then she stepped closer to me and whispered, You look good. Married life suits you. I took a step back. She followed. Erin's eyes narrowed slightly, but she stayed quiet. Tasha sighed, dramatic. God, I miss you. And then, right next to my uncle's photo, right next to the table of condolence cards, she tried to kiss me. Like grief was a doorway. Like my sadness meant my boundaries were softened. I raised my forearm between us and said, loud enough for nearby cousins to hear, Stop! The words snapped the air. Heads turned. My mother looked over. My cousin froze mid-sip. Tasha jerked back like I'd slapped her. Wow. Okay, Erin finally spoke. Voice steady but cold. Not here. Not ever. Tasha's face twisted. You don't even know him like I do. Erin blinked. I know him well enough to know he doesn't want you touching him, especially today. Tasha tried to laugh, but it came out thin. She glanced around and realized she'd made herself the center of attention at a funeral. People weren't entertained. They were disgusted. My cousin walked up, big guy, no patience, and said, You need to leave. Now. Tasha's eyes darted to me, searching for the old me who would smooth things over and protect her from consequences. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't rescue her. She stormed out, heels clicking like anger could rewrite what everyone saw. Later, in the car, Erin didn't ask if I still had feelings. She didn't accuse. She just said, That wasn't about love. I swallowed. What was it? Erin stared out the window. Control. She tried to take your dignity while you were grieving, and that was the moment I realized. The best revenge wasn't shouting. It was refusing to be used, especially on my worst day. Story 4. My ex waited until the exact second my wife walked away. We were at a friend's backyard barbecue. Normal, sunny, kids running around. My wife, Kira, went inside to help with plates, and suddenly my ex, Marisol, appeared next to me like she'd been hiding behind the grill. Wow, she said, smiling too wide. You look stable. I didn't even pretend to be friendly. What do you want? Marisol leaned on the patio railing like she was in a music video. I just wanted to say hi. No drama. That's how you know drama is loading. I kept my voice low. Say hi and go. She touched my chest. You're still tense around me. I stepped back. Don't. Marisol rolled her eyes. God, you're such a good boy now. Then she heard the sliding door behind us. Kira was coming back out. And Marisol's entire expression shifted, like she'd been waiting for that moment. She lunged, quick and confident, aiming her face at mine like she expected me to freeze. I didn't freeze. I turned my body sideways, lifted my hand and said loudly, Absolutely not. Marisol's lips hit air. She stumbled a half step and then laughed loudly, trying to disguise the rejection as playful flirting. Relax. It was a joke. Kira stopped mid-step, plates in hand. What was a joke? She asked, voice flat. Marisol's eyes flashed. Nothing. Your husband is just not interested, Kira finished, and set the plates down like she was putting down a weapon. She walked right up beside me and wrapped her arm around mine. Not territorial. Declarative. Marisol's smile got brittle. You know, he used to be fun. I looked her straight in the face. I used to be miserable. The people nearby were listening now. Someone's kid stopped bouncing a ball. Even the guy at the grill went quiet. Marisol tried one last move. She reached for my face again, slower, like she could shame me into letting it happen. Kira stepped forward and snapped, Touch him again and I'll call the police. I'm not arguing in somebody's backyard. It was the first time I'd ever heard Kira raise her voice. And it hit the whole group like a slap. Because everyone knew Kira wasn't dramatic. If she said it, it was serious. Marisol's eyes widened. She looked around, realized she'd lost her audience, and suddenly she wasn't bold anymore. She was just exposed. She backed up, muttering, You two are insane. I shrugged. Then leave. And she did, walking out alone while the barbecue kept going behind her. Like the party itself rejected her. Kira picked up the plates again and said, Next time we see her, we're not being polite. I squeezed her hand. Next time, we're not being near her. Story 5. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at my wife's promotion party. That's the kind of person she is. My wife, Hannah, had just made partner at her firm. We rented a private room at a lounge. Friends, co-workers, champagne, the whole thing. I was proud, a little overwhelmed, and honestly just happy to be there supporting her. Then my ex, Brooke, walked in like she belonged. I didn't invite her. Hannah didn't invite her. She had no reason to be there, unless she wanted to poison something good. Brooke waved like we were still close. Surprise! Hannah's coworkers looked confused. Hannah looked at me, silent question in her eyes. I walked toward Brooke and lowered my voice. Why are you here? Brooke smiled sweetly. To congratulate you both. She reached up, touched my cheek like she owned my face, and before I could step back, she said, loud enough for the room, come on, one kiss for old time's sake. Then she leaned in, right there, in front of my wife, in front of my wife's boss, in front of the people celebrating her. I took a step back and said, clearly, no. Brooke froze. The air got thick. Hannah didn't move. She didn't panic. She simply walked up beside me and faced Brooke like a judge. Brooke tried to giggle it off. Oh my God, you're being dramatic. Hannah smiled. Small, sharp. This is my event. You're not the headline. Brooke's eyes flashed. I just wanted to... Hannah cut her off. You wanted attention. You wanted to embarrass him. And you wanted to test whether he'd choose you over me in public? Brooke's mouth opened. Nothing came out, because Hannah had said the quiet part out loud. Then Hannah turned to the room, her coworkers, her friends, and raised her glass. Anyway, she said, voice bright again, like flipping a switch, back to the reason we're here. The room followed her lead. People laughed, clinked glasses, the music came back into focus. Brooke was suddenly standing alone, irrelevant, like a failed prank nobody found funny. She looked around in disbelief, like she couldn't understand why her chaos didn't get rewarded. She tried one last shot at me, hissing, you're whipped. I looked at her and said, calm. No, I'm loyal. That's why you lost me. Brooke walked out fast, cheeks burning. And the best part was this. Nobody chased her. Nobody comforted her. The party didn't even pause. Hannah leaned into me and whispered, she thought she could ruin my night. I whispered back, she accidentally proved why you deserve it. And we went right back to celebrating, like Brooke had never existed. Story 6. My wife Lena and I were in line for coffee at the mall. Normal Friday noise, people shoulder to shoulder. Lena was laughing at something on her phone when I heard a voice that hit my spine before my brain. Well, look who it is. Alina. My ex. She had a gift for appearing the second my life felt peaceful. Lena gave a polite nod. Hi. Alina didn't take it. She looked at Lena's ring, then stepped closer to me like Lena wasn't even there. So you finally settled down. I shifted back half a step. Don't start. Alina smiled like that was an invitation. Relax. I'm just saying hello. Then she did it. She leaned in fast, not for a cheek kiss, not for a hug. Straight for my mouth. In public. Right in front of my wife. I put my palm up between us. Her lips smacked my hand. It made this wet, humiliating sound that was loud enough for the barista to pause mid-pour. Alina froze, then snapped, Are you serious? I kept my hand up. Yes. Don't touch me. Lena didn't yell. She just said, calm and clear, You're trying to humiliate him in front of me. It's not working. Alina laughed too loudly, trying to save her pride. Wow, she's got you trained. I looked her dead in the eye. No. I have standards now. Big difference. People in line weren't pretending anymore. Alina felt it. Her little performance wasn't getting applause. She tried a last jab. Enjoy your boring life. Lena took our coffees and walked past her. You came here for a reaction, she said. You got nothing. We left her standing there with her smile collapsing. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Story 7. It happened at my sister's birthday dinner. Family everywhere, cameras out, my wife Marta beside me. I was relaxed for once, until I saw my ex, Ira, walk in like she'd been invited to ruin something. She came straight to me, wearing that confident grin she used to weaponize. Wow, she said, staring at Marta's ring. You moved on fast. Marta nodded politely. Hi. Ira didn't answer her. She leaned toward me and said, loud enough for my cousins to hear, remember how you used to kiss me in your mom's kitchen? The pot even fell off the stove. A few people went quiet. My face burned. I said low, Ira, stop. She smiled like my discomfort was the point. Then she lunged, mouth first, right in front of my wife. I leaned back and caught her wrist. Not hard but firm. Stopped her cold. No, I said, loud enough to carry. Don't ever do that again. Ira yanked her hand back and instantly switched to victim mode. Oh my God, you're dramatic. I was kidding. Marta stepped forward, calm but icy. You weren't kidding. You were testing if he'd disrespect me in public? Ira scoffed. Oh, please. He used to be fun. I didn't raise my voice. I used to be miserable. That's why you're my ex. The table went silent. Even the music in the background felt quieter. My sister finally walked over, face hard. You need to leave. Ira's eyes flicked to me, hunting for the old version of me who would rescue her from consequences. I didn't move. She walked out alone, and the weirdest part was how fast the room breathed again, like we'd all been holding our breath the moment she stepped in. Story 8. My ex tried to kiss me outside of school. That's what still makes me furious. My wife Svetlana and I were waiting to pick up my stepdaughter. Parents everywhere, kids pouring out the doors. Then a black SUV rolled up, and out stepped Vika, my ex, like she'd rehearsed the entrance. You're kidding, I muttered. Why are you here? Just driving by, she said, eyes sliding to Svetlana. So that's her. Svetlana stayed composed. Hello? Vika ignored her and moved closer to me. I miss you, she whispered. One kiss. Just to remember. I stepped back. No. She rolled her eyes. God, we're adults. Don't be so stiff. Then she leaned in, quick and confident, trying to put her mouth on mine in front of my wife, in front of parents, in front of children. I turned away and said loud, back up. Heads turned immediately. A couple parents stared. One woman stopped mid-sentence. Svetlana stepped between us. Are you seriously doing this around kids? Vika laughed, but her eyes were already nervous. Don't exaggerate. I pulled out my phone. One more step and I'm calling security. And if I have to, police? Because this is harassment. That word, harassment, hit her like ice water. Vika took a step back, suddenly smaller. You changed, she said, bitter. Yeah, I answered. I don't stay quiet anymore. My stepdaughter ran out and grabbed Svetlana's hand, and Vika stood there watching a life she couldn't touch. Realizing her little stunt made her look desperate, not powerful. She got back in her SUV and drove off fast. Story 9. My wife Katya had a work event. Fancy place, open bar, her boss there. I came to support her, nothing else. Then someone tapped my shoulder. Well, my ex Yulia said. Didn't expect to see you in a suit. Turns out she worked with a partner company. And she didn't come to network. She came to poke the bruise. Katya walked up. Hi. Yulia didn't even look at her. She touched my tie like it belonged to her. She dress you up? I stepped back. Don't touch me. Yulia smiled sweetly. Come on. One little kiss. For old times. Then she leaned in. Right there in front of my wife and my wife's boss. I grabbed her wrist and moved her hand off my tie. No. Yulia's smile cracked. Wow. You're whipped. Katya's voice was calm, deadly. This is my event. You don't get to create a scene here. Yulia tried to laugh it off. It's just a joke, I cut in, clear and loud enough that nearby people heard. I said no. Don't try again. Katya's boss looked up from his phone. He didn't say a word, just stared at Yulia like she was a problem that needed removing. That stare did more damage than yelling ever could. Yulia felt the room turn against her. You two are dramatic, she muttered. Katya nodded toward the security guard at the entrance. One more move and you'll be escorted out. Yulia walked away fast, pretending she didn't care, but her face was burning. Katya linked her arm through mine and whispered, Thank you for not letting her mess with my night. I whispered back, I'm not letting anyone mess with us. Story 10. My ex showed up on our anniversary night, on the parking lot like a trap. My wife Olya and I had just stepped out of the car. I adjusted her coat. We were laughing. And then I saw Natalia walking between cars like she knew exactly where the cameras were. Wow, she said. You're really celebrating. Olya stayed calm. Good evening. Natalia didn't care. She looked straight at me. Can I get 1 minute? Just one word. No, I said. There's nothing to talk about. Natalia smiled, but her eyes were angry. You're scared she'll hear the truth? Olya replied evenly. I'm hearing everything. Natalia stepped closer and suddenly grabbed my collar, hard, pulling me toward her like she could stamp her mouth on mine and rewrite reality. I shoved her hand off and stepped back. Don't touch me, Natalia snapped. Are you seriously rejecting me? Yes, I said, flat. In front of my wife. In front of everyone. Olya stepped forward, voice low but sharp. You're not asking. You're attacking. And you're doing it because you want to feel powerful. Natalia's eyes flicked to the security camera above the entrance. Then, to two people who just walked out and were staring. I raised my phone. I'm calling the police if you come closer. This is harassment. Natalia froze. For 1 second she looked like she might explode. Then she tried to save face with a hissed, You're both crazy. Olya smiled. No. We're just done with you. Natalia turned and walked away fast. Heels clicking like speed could erase what everyone saw. Olya squeezed my hand, and we walked into the restaurant like she'd never existed, because she didn't get to own our night. If you want, I can do the next 5 starting from story 11 with totally different setups again. Story 11. My buddy's wedding was the first time my wife and I had been in the same room as my ex since the divorce. I thought it would be fine. Big venue, lots of people, easy to avoid each other. Then my ex, Kendra, spotted me during cocktail hour and walked over like she'd been rehearsing. Wow, she said, eyes flicking to my wife, Paige. You replaced me fast. Paige smiled politely. Hi. Kendra didn't even acknowledge it. She stepped closer to me and lowered her voice. I bet you still think about me. I kept my tone flat. No. She laughed like I was flirting. Come on. Don't play perfect husband. Then she turned her head slightly, waiting for Paige to look away. Paige didn't look away. Kendra leaned in anyway, aiming for my mouth like she was making a point, not a mistake. I stepped back and held my drink up between us like a barrier. Her lips met the rim of my glass instead. Champagne splashed down the front of her dress. For half a second she just stood there, shocked, like reality betrayed her. Then she snapped, "Are you kidding me?" I didn't raise my voice. "You tried to kiss me. In front of my wife. At someone else's wedding." Kendra's cheeks went red. "It was a joke," Paige finally spoke, calm and loud enough for the nearest guest to hear. "A joke is funny." That was desperate. A couple people nearby pretended not to listen while absolutely listening. Kendra stared at Paige like she'd been slapped. Then she turned to me, searching for the old me who would soften it. I didn't. "Go clean up," I said. "And stay away from us." She walked off fast, furious, wiping her dress with napkins like she could scrub off the humiliation. Paige leaned in and whispered, "She wanted a scene. You gave her a mess instead." Story 12. We ran into my ex at the gym, specifically the lobby, right as my wife was checking us in for a couple's training package. The timing was so perfect it felt planned. My ex, Shay, looked me up and down and smirked. "So this is what you're into now?" "Domestic." My wife, Nora, offered a polite nod. "Hello?" Shay ignored her and stepped close enough that I could smell her perfume. "Same one she used to wear when she wanted something." "You still owe me closure," she said. "I don't owe you anything," I replied. Shay's eyes darted to Nora's hand on my arm. Then she smiled, fake sweet. "Relax. I just wanted to say goodbye properly." And before I could move, she grabbed the front of my hoodie and pulled hard, trying to force a kiss right there by the front desk. I turned my head and her mouth hit my cheek, then slid off onto nothing. I pushed her hands away immediately. "Don't touch me," I said loud. The front desk guy froze. Two people by the smoothie bar stared openly. Shay's face twisted. "Wow, you're really going to embarrass me?" Nora stepped forward, voice calm but sharp. "You embarrassed yourself the moment you put your hands on him." Shay snapped, "Mind your business." Nora didn't blink. "It is my business when you assault my husband in public." That word, assault, changed the whole room. The front desk guy straightened up and said, "Ma'am, you need to leave." Shay tried to laugh it off, but it came out shaky. "This is insane." I pointed at the cameras. "They've got it. Leave." She backed away, furious and suddenly cautious, like she'd just realized consequences exist. Nora squeezed my hand and said, "Sign us up for the year." Loud. In front of Shay. Shay stood there for a second, watching us choose our life without her, then stormed out like anger could hide the loss. Story 13. My ex tried it at my wife's family dinner. Not a party. Not a bar. Her parents' house. I didn't invite my ex. Nobody did. She found out where we were because her cousin still followed me online and liked to feed her scraps. She showed up mid-meal, ringing the doorbell like she belonged. My father-in-law opened it, confused, and she slid past him with a bright smile. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry to interrupt," she said. "I just needed to see him for 1 second." My wife, Janelle, stood up slowly. "Who are you?" My ex, Riley, looked straight at me. "You didn't tell her about me?" I felt my jaw tighten. "Riley, leave." Riley walked closer instead, like boundaries were optional. "I just want a kiss," she said, loud enough for everyone at the table to hear, so I know it's really over. Janelle's mom's fork stopped midair. My wife's little brother looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Riley leaned in. I stepped back so fast I bumped the chair behind me. "No." One word. Firm. Riley's eyes widened like she couldn't believe I'd refuse her in front of an audience. Then she tried to spin it. "Wow, you're scared of her." Janelle walked up beside me and faced Riley like a wall. "No. He's scared of wasting his life on you again." Riley's smile cracked. "Excuse me." Janelle cut her off. "You broke into my parents' house to start drama at dinner. That's not romantic. That's unstable." My father-in-law finally found his voice. "Get out. Now." Riley looked around, realizing she wasn't the main character here. She was the intruder. She left, still talking, still trying to get the last word. The door shut, and the silence after felt heavy. Janelle turned to me, checked my face, and said softly, "You good?" I nodded. "Yeah." Then she turned back to her family and said, "Sorry. Anyway, dessert?" And the way she said it, like my ex was nothing but a mosquito we swatted, made my chest loosen for the first time all night. Story 14. My ex didn't try to kiss me at a party. She tried to kiss me at a gas station. That's what made it so ridiculous and so real. My wife Tessa and I had pulled over on a road trip. I was pumping gas, she was inside buying snacks. Then I heard someone say my name like they'd been waiting. I turned and saw my ex, Morgan, stepping out of her car with sunglasses on like she wanted a dramatic reveal. "No way," I muttered. Morgan smiled. "Fate? It's a gas station," I said. She walked closer anyway. "You look good. Married you, huh?" Her eyes flicked toward the store. "Is she inside?" "Yes," I said. "So don't," Morgan laughed. "Don't what?" She leaned in fast, like she wanted to steal a kiss before my wife came back, like a petty crime. I held the gas nozzle between us and said, "Back up." Morgan stopped inches away, lips pursed, looking furious. "You're really going to act like I'm gross?" I didn't flinch. "You're acting like consent is optional. That's what's gross." Her face changed. Anger, then embarrassment, then that old manipulative sadness. "I just missed you." Tessa came out at that exact moment, bag in hand, saw Morgan leaning too close, saw my stance, and immediately clocked it. Morgan tried to play it off with a bright smile. "Hi, I'm—" Tessa didn't smile back. "You're too close." Morgan's jaw tightened. "We have history." Tessa nodded once. "And I have a present." "Step away." Morgan looked at me one last time, waiting for me to soften. I didn't. She got in her car and drove off hard enough to squeal the tires, like the noise could replace the kiss she didn't get. Tessa handed me a bottle of water. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah," she shrugged. "Good. Because she just learned you're not the same man she could push around." Story 15. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at a charity auction, and she did it with a microphone in her hand. I'm not kidding. My wife, Renee, had donated something for the silent auction, and the organizer asked me to say a few words about the cause. I hate public speaking, but I did it because Renee believed in it. I'm halfway through my little speech when I see my ex, Bianca, drifting toward the front like a shark. I hadn't seen her in 3 years. She was smiling like this was her reunion episode. When I finished, people clapped politely. I stepped down, trying to escape to Renee. Bianca intercepted me and grabbed the mic from the stand like she had permission. "Oh my God," she said into it, laughing. "I can't believe it's you." A few people chuckled awkwardly, thinking it was some planned joke. Renee walked up beside me, calm but alert. Bianca looked at her ring and smirked. Then she turned back to the crowd. "You know," Bianca said into the mic, "he was always a great kisser." The room went weird. Someone coughed. Renee's eyes didn't change, but I felt the temperature drop. Bianca leaned toward me, still holding the mic, and tried to kiss me. Right there, amplified, public, performative. I stepped back and said, clearly, "No." It echoed in the silence like a gavel. Bianca froze. Her smile twitched. "Come on." Renee took the mic from her hand without yanking, just removing it. "You're done," she said, voice steady. Bianca's face went red. "Excuse me?" Renee turned to the organizer. "Security." 2 staff members moved immediately. Bianca tried to laugh like it was all playful. Nobody laughed back. As she got escorted out, Bianca shouted, "He'll regret this." Renee leaned in close to me and whispered, "She wanted to humiliate you." I whispered back, "She humiliated herself. And the best part? The event continued like she'd never existed. Because that's what happens when your power comes from attention, and you lose the room. Story 16. My ex tried it at the airport like life was a rom-com and strangers were her audience. My wife and I were coming back from visiting her parents. We were tired, carrying bags, moving with that quiet teamwork married people have. Then I heard my name, sharp and excited. "Eli?" "Oh my God." I turned and saw my ex, Sabrina, rolling a suitcase toward us like she'd been waiting by the gate. She glanced at my wife's hand, clocked the ring, and smiled wider. My wife, June, nodded politely. "Hi." Sabrina ignored her like she was invisible. "You look happy," she said to me, like it was suspicious. "I am," I answered. Sabrina moved closer. "I always knew you'd miss me." June's posture tightened a little, but she stayed calm. I took a step back because I already knew where this was going. Sabrina laughed. "Relax. I'm not going to make a scene." Then she leaned in anyway, fast, confident, aiming straight for my mouth in front of my wife and a line of strangers. I turned my head and held my boarding pass up between us like a shield. Her lips hit paper. She froze, stunned, then snapped. "Seriously? Don't touch me," I said, loud enough that the couple behind us stopped talking. June stepped forward, voice even. "You're doing this in an airport. In public. Like you're proud." Sabrina's face went hot. She tried to laugh it off. "It was just a joke." I pointed at the camera above the terminal sign. "Then joke somewhere else. Leave us alone." Sabrina stared at me like she couldn't compute consequences. Then she rolled her suitcase away too fast, like speed could turn rejection into a choice. June took my hand and said quietly, "She wanted you to flinch." I nodded. "Yeah." June squeezed my fingers. You didn't. Story 17. My ex chose the worst possible moment, when my wife was being toasted. It was my wife's birthday dinner. Small restaurant, our friends around the table, candles lit. I was mid-speech, telling her how proud I was of her, when I saw my ex, Tara, walk in and lock eyes with me. My stomach dropped. Tara walked over like she belonged at our table. "Wow," she said, eyes on my wife's ring. "So you upgraded." My wife, Helen, blinked. "Do I know you?" Tara smiled. "I know him." I put my napkin down. "Tara, leave." She ignored me and leaned toward Helen. "Just so you know, he used to love when I kissed him in public." Helen didn't react. She just looked at me, like she was giving me the floor. That made me steadier. Tara turned to me and leaned in. Slow, deliberate, like she wanted everyone at the table to watch. I pushed my chair back and stood up so fast it scraped the floor. "No." Heads turned at nearby tables. Tara froze, embarrassed, then tried to pretend she was laughing. "Oh my God, you're so dramatic." Helen stood too, calm as ice. "You walked up to a stranger's dinner and tried to kiss her husband. You're not bold. You're desperate." Tara's smile cracked. "Excuse me." Helen didn't raise her voice. "You should go before you make this worse." Tara's eyes flicked around the room, realizing the attention she'd craved wasn't admiration. It was pity. She muttered something about me being changed, then walked out. When she was gone, Helen sat back down, relit the mood with one simple sentence. "Okay, where were we?" And our friends cheered like the interruption had never happened, because she didn't get to steal my wife's night. Story 18. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at a hospital. Not in a dramatic TV way, in a selfish, ugly way. My wife, Kara, had a minor procedure, and we were waiting near the elevators while she was still groggy. I went to get water from the vending machines, and that's when I saw my ex, Denise, walking down the hall like she'd been summoned. "Wow," she said, soft voice, sad eyes. "I heard you were here. Is she okay?" I hated that my first reaction was suspicion, but Denise trained me to be suspicious. "She's fine," I said. "Why are you here?" Denise stepped closer. I wanted to see you. I miss you." I shifted back. "This isn't the place." Denise nodded like she understood, then leaned in anyway, trying to kiss me like the hallway was private, like my wife wasn't 20 feet away, like vulnerability was a tool. I stepped back hard. "No." Her eyes filled instantly like she could cry on command. "You don't have to be cruel." Kara's voice cut in from behind me, calm but sharp. "He's not cruel. He's married." Denise turned and saw Kara standing there in a hospital bracelet, pale, steadying herself on the wall, and Denise still tried to smile. "Oh," Denise said, fake sweet. "Hi." Kara didn't blink. "Trying to kiss my husband while I'm in recovery is a choice." Denise's cheeks flushed. "I was just—" Kara cut her off. "Leave." A nurse walked by and glanced at us. Denise looked at the nurse, then at the security sign, then back at me, and suddenly her bravery evaporated. She walked away fast. Kara reached for my hand. "Did she think I was too weak to notice?" I swallowed. "She thought I was." Story 19. My ex picked a hardware store. Of all places. My wife and I were buying paint for the guest room. We were laughing over sample cards, debating soft white versus warmer white, when my ex, Fallon, appeared at the end of the aisle like a jump scare. She smiled at me, then slowly looked at my wife, Mia. "Oh, so this is her." Mia nodded politely. "Hi." Fallon turned back to me, ignoring Mia completely. "You always hated beige," she said, grabbing a paint card and brushing it against my chest like it was flirtation. I stepped back. "Stop." Fallon's eyes sparkled with that old defiance. "Stop what?" She leaned in, aiming for my mouth, right there between shelves of rollers and drop cloths. I blocked with my forearm. "No." A guy nearby looked up from caulk and stared. Fallon noticed him watching and instantly tried to laugh. "He's being dramatic." Mia spoke for the first time, calm but cutting. "You're trying to kiss a married man in a hardware store." "Who's dramatic?" Fallon's smile tightened. "You don't know our story." Mia shrugged. "I know the ending." Fallon looked at me, waiting for me to soften. I didn't. I pointed to the end of the aisle where an employee was walking by. "Do you want to leave on your own or should I ask for help?" Fallon's face went stiff. "Wow. You'd call security on me?" "I'd call security on anyone who doesn't understand no," I said. She walked away quickly, pretending she didn't care, but her shoulders were tense. Mia picked a paint card, handed it to me and said, "Warm white." Then added, "Quieter, warm life." Story 20. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at a reunion, then realized my wife wasn't the one to play with. It was my 10-year high school reunion. My wife, Sam, came with me because she's social and I'm not. We were standing by the photo wall when my ex, Brittany, slid up behind me. "Still have that posture," she said, laughing. "God, I remember your mouth." Sam turned, smiling politely. "Hi." Brittany's eyes flicked over Sam like she was scanning a receipt. "Cute," I said flat. "Don't." Brittany leaned in anyway, slow and deliberate, like she wanted the crowd behind us to notice. She aimed for my lips in front of Sam, in front of old classmates, in front of people who love drama. I stepped back and raised my hand. "No." Brittany's smile cracked. "Oh my God, relax." Sam didn't raise her voice. She just spoke like a fact. "You're embarrassing yourself." Brittany laughed, trying to turn it into a joke. "He used to like it." Sam nodded once. "He used to accept a lot of things he doesn't accept anymore." That landed. A couple classmates nearby went quiet, suddenly uncomfortable. Brittany's face tight. She turned to me, trying to bait me. "So you're really going to pretend we didn't happen?" I shrugged. "We happened." And I learned. Brittany stood there for a second, stuck with no script left. Then she walked away, fast, like the room suddenly felt too bright. Sam squeezed my arm. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah," Sam smiled. "Good. Because she came here to win. And she just lost in one sentence." Story 21. My ex tried it at my wife's art show. My wife, Kira, finally had her first gallery night. Her photos on the wall, her name on a little placard, people actually paying attention to her work. I was proud in a way I didn't even know I could be. Then my ex, Selena, walked in wearing red like she planned to be noticed. She spotted me, smiled, and came over with that old, we share a secret look. Kira stepped up beside me immediately. Selena glanced at Kira's ring and smirked. "So this is the upgrade." Kira held out her hand. "Hi, I'm..." Selena ignored it and leaned closer to me. "You always did love an audience." I kept my voice low. "Not tonight." "Leave." Selena laughed like I was flirting. Then she leaned in, fast, trying to kiss me right there under one of Kira's framed prints, like she wanted to stain the night. I turned my head and stepped back. Her lips hit air. Selena blinked. "Seriously?" Kira's voice was calm but sharp. "Do not do that again." Selena looked at Kira like she was amused. "Oh, sweetheart, he and I cut in. "No. You and I are done." Selena's face tightened, and she went for round 2. She grabbed my forearm and tried to pull me in like she could force it. I yanked my arm free. "Don't touch me." Louder this time. People nearby stopped pretending not to hear. A couple turned from the prints to the scene. Selena realized she'd gotten attention, just not the kind she wanted. Kira stepped forward, pointed to the gallery manager and said, "Can you remove her?" like she was ordering coffee. The manager didn't hesitate. "Ma'am, you need to leave." Selena's mouth dropped. "Are you kidding me?" Kira didn't blink. "You tried to kiss my husband at my show." Selena looked at me one last time, waiting for me to soften. I didn't. Security guided her out, and the room quietly returned to the art, because her drama wasn't worth more than Kira's work. Story 22. My ex chose a church parking lot after a funeral service, which somehow made it worse. We were leaving after my wife's grandfather's memorial. My wife, Beth, was quiet, holding the program in both hands like it was keeping her steady. I was just trying to get her home. Then I heard, "Hey, I heard you were here." My ex, Mel. Black dress, perfect hair, zero shame. Beth looked up, confused. "Who is that?" I said through my teeth. "Not now, Mel." Mel walked closer anyway. "I just wanted to check on you," she said, and reached for my face like the grieving version of me would be easier to control. She leaned in, aiming for my mouth, right there beside the rows of parked cars and people hugging each other goodbye. I stepped back hard. "No." Mel blinked, offended. "Wow, you're cold." Beth's voice came out steady, even though her eyes were tired. "He's not cold. You're inappropriate." Mel smiled, fake sweet. "I'm just being supportive." Beth shook her head once. "Support doesn't look like trying to kiss someone else's husband." Mel's eyes flicked around and realized a couple older relatives were watching, faces tight with disapproval. She tried to switch tactics, softer voice. "I just miss him," I said flat. "You miss having access." "You don't have it." Beth slipped her hand into mine and said quietly, "We're leaving." Mel's face twisted like she wanted to yell, but she couldn't, not in a church lot with witnesses. She backed off, muttering, and we got in the car. On the drive home, Beth finally spoke. "She thought I was too sad to notice." I swallowed. "She thought I was too weak to say no." Beth squeezed my hand. "Good thing she was wrong twice." Story 23. My ex tried it during parent-teacher night. My wife, Dana, and I were sitting in those tiny chairs outside a classroom, waiting to talk to my stepson's teacher. Dana was nervous, smoothing her sleeves, rehearsing what she wanted to say. Then my ex, Chloe, appeared in the hallway like she'd been summoned by chaos. She smiled at me first. Always me first. "Wow, Didn't know you were a family man now. Dana stood up politely. Hi. Chloe ignored her and stepped closer to me. I need to talk to you. Alone. Not happening, I said. Chloe's eyes narrowed. Then she smiled like she'd just gotten an idea. She leaned in, slow, right in front of Dana, right in front of other parents, trying to kiss me like it was a power move. I stood up so fast my chair scraped. No. Loud. A couple parents turned. Someone's kid stopped swinging their legs. Chloe blinked. Oh my God, relax. Dana's voice was quiet but firm. You're doing this in a school hallway. What is wrong with you? Chloe snapped. Stay out of it. Dana didn't flinch. I'm his wife. You're the one invading. Chloe tried again. She reached for my jaw like she could steer my face. I stepped back and put my hand up. Touch me again and I'm calling the office. The teacher's door opened at that exact moment. The teacher looked between us and said, Is everything okay? Dana answered calmly. No. This woman is harassing my husband. Chloe's face went pale. Suddenly she wasn't brave anymore. She muttered something about misunderstanding and walked away fast. Dana sat back down, hands shaking a little. I squeezed her knee and whispered, You were strong. Dana exhaled. I had to be. She came here to make me small. I said, She failed. Story 24. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at my job. That's the one that still makes my blood pressure spike. I work in a showroom. My wife, Elise, came by with lunch because we had plans after my shift. We were standing near the front desk when my ex, Harper, walked in. Heels, smile, confidence like she owned the place. She looked at Elise's hand holding mine and smirked. So this is your new manager. Elise's face stayed neutral. Hi. Harper ignored her and came straight to me. I missed you, she said, like it was a compliment I owed her. I stepped back. Harper, don't. She leaned in anyway, right in front of the receptionist and two customers, trying to kiss me like she could claim me on company time. I put my hand up and said, loud, No. The receptionist's eyes went wide. One customer pretended to look at a brochure while definitely watching. Harper froze. Wow. You're going to reject me like that? Elise spoke calmly, almost bored. He's rejecting you because you're crossing a line. Harper turned on Elise. You don't know what we had. Elise nodded once. Whatever it was, it ended. And you're embarrassing yourself in public. Harper's face tightened. She tried to grab my arm again. I stepped back and said, Stop. If you touch me again, I'm calling security and filing a report. That changed her expression instantly. Like she'd just remembered the world has rules. She backed off, lips pressed tight. Elise handed me my lunch like nothing happened. Ready? She asked. I nodded. And we walked away while Harper stood there, stuck with the fact that she couldn't control the narrative anymore. Story 25. My ex tried to kiss me in front of my wife at a grocery store, and she did it in the worst aisle. Baby stuff. My wife, Monique, was comparing diaper brands for our newborn. I was tired, running on caffeine and love and panic. Then my ex, Jasmine, showed up behind me like a bad memory. She looked at the diapers, then at Monique's ring, then at me. Wow, she said, laughing. So you really went full family. Monique glanced up. Hi. Jasmine ignored her. I always knew you'd come back to the life I wanted, she told me. I said flat. No. Jasmine stepped closer and lowered her voice like it was intimate. One kiss. Just to remind you. Then she leaned in, right there, beside shelves of baby formula, trying to kiss me in front of my wife. I stepped back so fast I hit the cart. Don't. Loud enough that a guy at the end of the aisle looked over. Jasmine rolled her eyes. Oh my God, you're scared. Monique's voice was calm, dangerous. He's not scared. He's disgusted. Jasmine's mouth opened. Excuse me? Monique didn't blink. You came to the baby aisle to do this. That's not romance. That's a breakdown. Jasmine flushed, looking around like she suddenly noticed the setting, like she realized how pathetic it looked next to pacifiers and onesies. I pointed toward the front. Go. Jasmine tried to smile, tried to keep power. Whatever. You'll regret it. Monique leaned closer to me and said, loud enough for Jasmine to hear, he regrets ever letting you think no was negotiable. Jasmine walked away fast, and Monique stared at the diapers again like she'd just swatted a fly. Then she looked up at me and said, we're not giving her space in our day. And she was right. We finished shopping. We went home. We fed our baby. And my ex didn't get to touch any of it.